Have you ever wondered what's really standing between you and the life you dream of? It's not luck, it's not timing, and it's not talent. It's the decision you haven't made to act like you're already ready. The ancient Stoics knew this truth thousands of years ago. And today, I'll show you why. You don't need to be perfect to begin. You need to begin to become great. It's not luck, not talent, not timing, it's one simple decision: to rise. And if you're waiting until you feel ready, today we're going to dismantle that myth, with the help of Stoic wisdom. Sometimes the hardest thing in life isn't the challenge in front of you, it's realizing the truth behind it. The only thing standing between who you are and who you could become is the moment you decide to show up fully. It's not luck, it's not timing, and it's definitely not talent. It's you, right now, choosing to believe that you are worthy of more, worthy of progress, worthy of showing up, worthy of becoming. And that moment, that quiet internal yes to yourself, that's where everything changes. You see, this isn't about waiting for the world to line up and hand you a perfect opportunity. It's about realizing that perfect moments are crafted, not found. That's something the Stoics understood deeply. Epictetus reminded us, we cannot control external events, only our response. And your most powerful response right now is to act like the best version of yourself, even if you don't feel like it yet. Because let's face it, we all hear that voice of doubt, that sneaky inner critic whispering, you're not ready, or you're not good enough. But here's the truth no one tells you: you don't need to wait until you feel ready. Readiness is a result, not a requirement. You become your best not by waiting for ideal conditions, but by showing up in the middle of uncertainty, with the belief that what you need is already within you. Marcus Aurelius lived by this, reminding himself daily to focus only on what he could control, to lead with virtue regardless of the chaos around him. And you can do the same. This is about stepping into the power you already have. Even if the path ahead feels foggy, even if the steps are shaky, you don't need to fake confidence. Just commit to the process. So in today's video, we're diving into a mindset shift that could radically change the way you approach your goals, challenges, and everyday choices. This isn't about pretending. It's about becoming the version of yourself that you were always capable of being. And if you appreciate what we're building here, the wisdom, the intention, the honesty, do me one simple favor: hit that subscribe button. It's free, and it helps this community grow. Let's begin. Picking up from the moment you decide to live up to your full potential. Everything begins with your mindset. As Epictetus wisely said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. And in that simple but profound truth lies the beginning of becoming your best self. The Stoics believed that our strength doesn't come from controlling the outside world, it comes from controlling ourselves. Deciding to be your best doesn't mean striving for perfection or trying to outdo everyone around you. It's not about comparison. It's about setting a clear, personal standard, a commitment to growth, discipline, and inner excellence. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest emperors of Rome and a devoted Stoic, reminded himself daily not to seek praise or approval but to act with virtue simply because it was the right thing to do. When you make that decision, to live with purpose and integrity, everything starts to change. You stop reacting and start leading. You begin to raise the bar not just for what you do, but for how you do it. And that's when the transformation begins. The Stoics never promised that life would be easy. On the contrary, they taught that life is full of trials and tests. But they also believed that those very obstacles were the training grounds for greatness. Each setback, each frustration, each mistake is an invitation to become stronger, more focused, more resilient, more capable. So, when I say act as if you're the best, it's not about ego. It's not about walking into the room thinking you're better than everyone. It's about walking into the room with quiet confidence, knowing you've prepared, that you're grounded, and that you're committed to excellence. Imagine a world-class athlete or a skilled artisan. They don't have to say a word to prove their worth. Their discipline, posture, and presence do the talking. And that's the energy you bring when you live by the Stoic ideal. You're not faking it, you're claiming it. Every time you act with courage, with clarity, and with virtue, you are living as if you already are the best version of yourself. And from here, we move even deeper, because once the mindset is in place, the habits must follow. And when you carry yourself like the best version of you, something remarkable happens. People notice. But more importantly, you notice. The Stoics would remind us that real confidence doesn't come from applause or trophies, it comes from deep within. It's built on knowing that you're showing up each day in alignment with your principles. That you're putting in the effort. Doing your best, regardless of outcome. The key distinction here is this: arrogance tries to put you above others, while acting like the best simply means you're lifting yourself up to your highest potential. You're not aiming to outshine others, you're working to outgrow your past self. That's the Stoic path. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about being on the journey, always refining, always learning, always evolving. Now, maybe you're thinking, but I'm not the best. I'm not even close. How can I act like I am? And you know what? That's okay. That's honest. That's where many of us start. You might feel like you're miles away from where you want to be, and that feeling is valid. But here's what's powerful about this idea: you don't have to be the best to act like the best. This mindset isn't about pretending or faking confidence. It's about owning your intention. It's a shift in your self-perception that unleashes your full potential, even if you're still in the process of becoming. And it fits perfectly with what Stoicism teaches. According to Epictetus and others, we can't always control what happens around us, but we can always control how we respond. You may not have reached your peak yet, but you can choose to respond to life with confidence, self-discipline, and purpose, the same traits embodied by those who are at the top of their game. And here's the magic: when you begin to act like the best, consistently, deliberately, something powerful shifts. You begin to believe it. And once that belief takes root, your actions start to align with it. You carry yourself with calm, quiet strength. You make decisions more confidently. You take setbacks with resilience. This isn't empty motivation or wishful thinking, it's a psychological principle. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. The Stoics knew this long before modern psychology did. They taught that our internal beliefs shape our external behaviors. When you believe you are capable, competent, and prepared, you begin to act accordingly, and through that action, you become it. Think about a job interview. If you walk in full of self-doubt, second-guessing every word, your energy communicates it before you even speak. But if you walk in standing tall, grounded in the belief that you are exactly who the role needs, not cocky, just composed, everything changes. You speak with purpose. You listen more attentively. You radiate quiet strength. That's the power of acting as if. And now, let's take this concept even further, because it's not just about how you act. It's about how you train your mind to see yourself differently. So what happens when you speak clearly about your strengths, and believe in your value? Everything begins to shift. Even if you don't land the job, or get the recognition you were aiming for, the mindset you've cultivated is already preparing you for what comes next. You're not just going through the motions, you're practicing confidence, and building resilience. And those two traits, they'll serve you well, not just once, but for life. So when that little voice inside says, "But I'm not the best," the Stoics would gently remind you, that's not the point. The point isn't to be the best already. The point is to act as if you are. Not from a place of arrogance, but from a deep internal decision to grow, to rise, and to align your actions with your potential. Every time you act from that space, you're raising the standard, not for the world, but for yourself. You're living with intention, aiming for something more meaningful than external success, excellence. And Stoicism? It's all about that, the slow, steady climb toward excellence. Not perfection. Not applause. But integrity and improvement. The Stoics believed that a meaningful life was one of continuous growth. They didn't chase achievement for its own sake, they pursued virtue. And that means committing to lifelong learning. Acting as if you're the best doesn't mean thinking you've arrived. It means you've accepted the challenge of the journey, and you're willing to do the work. In fact, it's the opposite of complacency. It's not about saying, "I've made it." It's about saying, "There's always more to master." And that's what makes it powerful. Seneca, one of the most revered Stoic philosophers, once said, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." Think about that. He didn't say, "Get to the top and coast." He said, "Keep refining. Keep discovering. Keep growing. Even at the peak, you remain a student." That's what greatness is built on. Look at the best in any field, whether it's a world-class athlete, a brilliant entrepreneur, or a deeply wise philosopher. What do they all have in common? They never stop sharpening their edge. They remain humble, curious, focused, always reaching for better. When you act as if you're the best, you're joining them on that path. You're saying, "I will carry myself with the quiet strength of someone who takes their growth seriously. I'll walk forward with purpose. And I'll earn it, every single day." This mindset isn't rooted in arrogance, far from it. It's anchored in humility. And the Stoics, especially Marcus Aurelius, knew the importance of that humility deeply. Even though he was the ruler of the most powerful empire in the world. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, constantly reminded himself to stay grounded and keep improving. He didn't see being emperor as a finish line. He saw it as a daily responsibility, to live with virtue, to rise to the challenges of leadership, and to grow a little more with each passing day. When you adopt this mindset, you're doing exactly the same. You're saying, "I'm not just existing, I'm evolving." You're striving to be better today than you were yesterday. Knowing that real growth isn't a one-time event. It's a lifelong pursuit. So what does acting as if you're the best actually look like? It means raising your own standards, not to impress others, but to meet the potential you already carry inside. It's taking ownership of your development in every part of life. For example, in your relationships, it's asking, what would the best version of me do in this moment? How would the best partner, the best friend, the most present parent behave? Not out of pressure, but out of purpose. It's not about faking perfection. It's about being intentional in the pursuit of better. In your health, it means treating your body as if it's already capable of peak performance. Imagine you were already in the best shape of your life. How would you move, eat, and rest? You'd likely make stronger choices, be more disciplined, and respect your energy. That's what the Stoic path is all about, choosing the long-term good over short-term comfort. Now, let's be honest, when you hear the phrase "act as if you're the best," it might sound like pretending at first. And maybe, in some small way, it is. But here's the secret: what you practice consistently becomes who you are. The Stoics knew this well. Seneca said it clearly, "We become what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. That means the more you show up with discipline, courage, and self-respect, the more those traits become part of you, not something you reach for, but something you carry. Let's break this down. When you first start acting as if you're the best, it might feel awkward. You might ask, "Who am I to carry myself like this?" But the truth is, humans are incredibly adaptable. We're not fixed, we're formed. And the Stoics taught that we are shaped by our choices. If you practice standing tall, you grow more confident. If you practice discipline, over time, it becomes second nature. If you speak with intention, eventually, your voice carries more weight. It's not about faking it forever. It's about practicing the qualities you want to embody until they become part of your nature. Like building muscle, it feels unnatural at first, maybe even clumsy. But with repetition, your strength grows. You get better. you get bolder. Epictetus taught his students that we always have power over how we respond. And by practicing virtuous actions, we slowly sculpt ourselves into the person we aim to become. Let's say you want to feel more confident in social situations. At first, you might feel out of place, like you're pretending. But if you keep showing up, speaking clearly, listening fully, eventually, you realize that confidence doesn't feel like a performance anymore. It feels real. Because it is. The same goes for any part of life. Want to live healthier? Practice making strong choices, and over time, they'll become habits. Want financial peace? Practice managing your money wisely, and eventually, that becomes who you are. The Stoic principle of practicing virtue teaches us this: you don't have to wait for change. You can create it, through the small, consistent choices you make each day. The key? Consistency. It's not about doing something once and expecting miracles. It's about showing up, again and again, with intention, until what started as effort becomes your identity. That's how real transformation happens. Not overnight, but day by day. And from here, we're going to dive deeper into how you can align your mindset with action, so that every area of your life begins to reflect your highest potential. You become the best version of yourself, not in theory, not by wishing, but by repeatedly acting like it, day after day. As the Stoics taught, your actions shape your character, and in turn, your character shapes your life. So every single time you act with discipline, courage, or honesty, you're not just doing something, you're becoming someone. That's why the Stoics placed so much value on daily practice. Because your reality is being built, brick by brick, by what you do each day. Now when we talk about acting as if you're the best, it might sound like we're saying to ignore your flaws, to walk around pretending you're perfect. But here's the truth, it's actually the opposite. Acting like you're the best doesn't mean faking perfection. It means having the courage to look your weaknesses in the eye, and use them as stepping stones for growth. The Stoics were masters of this mindset. They didn't shy away from flaws. They leaned in. They believed that self-awareness and honest reflection weren't optional, they were essential. As Marcus Aurelius put it, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Part of that strength is being honest with yourself about where you fall short, not to beat yourself up, but to learn, adapt, and grow stronger. You see, the people who truly rise to the top in any field, they're not the ones who think they have no flaws. They're the ones who know their flaws better than anyone, and refuse to be defined by them. They see those gaps not as stop signs, but as fuel, the fire that drives them to do the work, to evolve, to keep going. The Stoics believed deeply in embracing challenges and discomfort as a natural, necessary part of growth. Epictetus said it best: the path to mastery requires us to face obstacles with resilience. So think about your own life for a moment. What's a weakness you've been ignoring? Something small, or maybe something big, that you know is holding you back. Here's the thing, when you avoid your weaknesses, they don't disappear. They fester. They grow stronger in the background. But the moment you acknowledge them, when you step into the discomfort, you begin to shrink their power. That's the moment real growth begins. The Stoics didn't view weakness as failure. They saw it as an opportunity to practice arete, the pursuit of excellence. When you face your flaws, you're not weak. You're stronger than ever. Because you're building character, discipline, and capability that cannot be faked. This process demands humility. It demands self-respect. Acting like you're the best doesn't mean you think you're perfect. It means you're committed to progress. It means you can be proud of your strengths while staying clear-eyed about your blind spots. Seneca wrote often about the power of learning through experience, especially failure. He believed that our setbacks are often our greatest teachers. They hold up a mirror, they show us exactly what skills or mindsets we still need to grow. And that's priceless. The key is this: don't hide from your flaws. Own them. Study them. Let them guide you. Because when you do, you reclaim control of your personal growth. And in that process, in that beautiful, messy, human process. You discover where true strength really lies. And now that we've embraced the mindset of growth through challenge, it's time to talk about something just as important, discipline. Because without discipline, intention means nothing. And working to overcome those weaknesses, not hiding from them, that's what builds you. The Stoic path teaches us this over and over. Life's greatest challenges, including your personal shortcomings, are not obstacles to avoid, but fuel to become the stronger, more resilient version of you. When you act as if you're the best, it doesn't mean you're pretending to be perfect. It means you're stepping forward, fully aware of your flaws, but committed to learning, growing, and becoming the person you know you can be. That mindset, of embracing growth through difficulty, it's what carried the Stoics forward. They didn't run from imperfection. They studied it. They turned every flaw into a lesson, every setback into a stepping stone, and every mistake into momentum. But here's the real power: when you act as if you're the best, it doesn't just transform your life, it elevates everyone around you. The Stoics had a word for this: sympathia, the idea that we are all interconnected, that your actions ripple outward and impact the whole. So when you raise your standards, when you walk through life with discipline, confidence, and purpose, that energy spreads. Think about it. Think of someone you know who carries themselves with quiet clarity. They don't need to shout or boast, their actions speak. Their presence uplifts. Being around them makes you want to be better. That's what it means to lead by example. And when you act as if you're the best, with humility, with self-awareness, you become that person for someone else. You become proof that confidence is possible, that discipline is achievable, that self-respect isn't arrogance, but a path to peace. This is not about competition. The Stoics didn't chase trophies or applause. They chased virtue, not to beat others, but to better themselves. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire but focused on inner mastery. Seneca was wealthy, but taught that character was richer than coins. Epictetus lived in chains, yet was freer in mind than most kings. They didn't rise by stepping over others, they rose by lifting everyone around them. And so can you. When you strive for your best, you invite others to rise with you. Whether it's your partner, your child, your co-worker, or your friend, your effort becomes inspiration. You show them what's possible. It's a ripple effect of courage, clarity, and action, and it starts with you. Now let's be clear. Failure? It's not just possible, it's inevitable. But the Stoics had no fear of failure. In fact, they welcomed it. They understood that failure wasn't the end, it was the way forward. Marcus Aurelius said it best: the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. That's more than a quote. It's a blueprint for how to meet difficulty head-on. Because when you act as if you're the best, it doesn't mean you're naive enough to think you'll never fall. It means you're resilient enough to rise. You approach failure not with shame, but with strategy. Not with self-doubt, but with self-discipline. You ask, what can I learn from this? What didn't work? What will I do better next time? Epictetus taught his students, don't ask for events to happen as you wish, but wish for them to happen as they do, and your life will go smoothly. That includes failure. You can't always control the outcome, but you can always control your response. And when you choose to respond with clarity, curiosity, and courage, failure becomes feedback. Feedback becomes fuel, and fuel becomes forward motion. So what do you do when you stumble? You take a breath, you gather your strength, and you take the next step anyway, wiser, tougher, and more prepared than before. Because that's the Stoic way. And now that we understand the role of failure on this path, it's time to unlock the final step in mastering this mindset, turning your belief into bold, daily action. And when you face failure with the Stoic mindset, something profound happens. You stop seeing failure as a dead end, and begin to see it as the doorway to your next breakthrough. You stop avoiding the fall, and start learning how to rise, stronger, wiser, more resilient. The best people in every field, whether it's business, athletics, art, or philosophy aren't the ones who never stumble. They're the ones who know how to bounce back. Not once. Not twice. But every single time. That's the Stoic secret. As the Stoics taught us, true strength doesn't come from avoiding hardship. It comes from how you respond after the fall. From how quickly you get up. From what you learn when you're down. And from the mindset you bring to that climb back up. So the next time you fail, pause, breathe, and remind yourself, this is not the end of the story. It's just a chapter. A necessary, powerful, defining one. And it's through these moments that you begin to write your legacy. But here's the real key. Acting as if you're the best isn't a one-time choice. It's a daily practice. It's what Marcus Aurelius meant in Meditations when he wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is, to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." Every day is a new opportunity to begin again, to commit again, to step forward with purpose and intention. And that's what Stoicism is all about. It's not about waiting until you feel ready. The Stoics warned against that trap, because waiting for the perfect moment almost always leads to inaction. Instead, they taught us this simple, powerful truth. Start where you are. Use what you have. Take the next step. You don't need to be flawless. You just need to be consistent. And when you act as if you're the best every single day, when you show up with effort, with discipline, with humility, you're not pretending. You're practicing. You're shaping the very character that will carry you forward. Over time, that practice becomes who you are. It stops being a mindset and starts becoming your identity. Remember, this is not about arrogance. It's not about playing a role. It's about embodying your potential. It's about raising your standards, holding yourself accountable, and striving, not to be better than others, but to be no better than you were yesterday. In your career, in your health, in your relationships, and most importantly, in your inner life. Because as the Stoics taught, we may not control the outcomes, but we do control our actions. And through our actions, we shape everything that matters. So tomorrow morning, before you check your phone or get caught in the noise of the world, ask yourself this: how would the best version of me show up today? Let that question guide your choices. Let it shape your habits. Let it anchor your mindset. Because each action you take, no matter how small, is a vote for the person you're becoming. One action at a time. One day at a time. You are building a life that reflects your highest self. Thank you for walking this journey with me through Stoic Journal. If this message resonated with you, keep the momentum going. Right pointing finger emoji. Check out one of the suggested videos on your screen. There's so much more ahead. Until then, stay strong, stay grounded, and I'll see you in the next one.